Hello, hello, fellow Lord of the Rings fans, collectors, everyone, subscribers. Thank you so very much for your time. I hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, whatever the case may be. So, this has been much requested that I get back to doing these, and I promise now I'm going to be doing one per week. Full video of the rare figures, the ToyBiz figures, as well as doing the lore. So we need to get right into it. So let's get into the figures first, and then we're going to get into the lore about them. This is Faramir, the armored Faramir, and it's one of the more rare figures. Now these were both made by ToyBiz, which I happen to believe is one of the best companies to ever have made toys. These were in 2000 to 2003, and they invented a lot of what is just now being utilized over the last few years, like swivel, pivot on the foot, pivot on the hands. They had, as you can see, they had pivot 360 hands. Um, Now, one thing is on this particular one, some are better than others. If you look in my playlist, you'll see some are just absolutely amazing. The ones like this that had the action buttons, not the superposable ones, are always a little more iffy, shall we say. So what he does basically is that. So that's his sword hand. I like to just kind of have him posed up like he's rallying the troops. He's getting them going. So let's take a quick look at him. Now the articulation here. I mean, you can snap it and put it into different positions and move the arm around a little bit, and it will still work. It'll, just get back here to get it to work. Um, I wouldn't recommend doing that too often. Like here, he has such a articulation. You can get his hand on the hilt of a sword, so that looks kind of cool. Up close, I'll let you decide on the resemblance. The lips are a little red, I think, or a little pink for like he's got lipstick on. But other than that, very good resemblance. You have once you have to move the pauldron down a little, but you can get his head pretty far and down. Mm, 15 degrees at most. Okay, so on the left arm, though, you do not have the mechanism, so you do not have any issues there. So you have a full 360, then you have the really strong joint. And that's one thing that was amazed, though. Take a look at every part of his armor. Just take a look at the details. Look at the details. The tree, the white tree. Every one of these. I need to do Sauron next, just to show you. ToyBiz, they must have spent hundreds of hours making the at least initial ones to get the engravings just right, down to here. I mean, everything, and then even under here, stuff that you wouldn't normally see, they got just right. Okay, so as far as this goes, he does not have a torso or waist ball joint, so no flexion there. But he does have where he can spread his legs as wide as that, and they can go back and they can go forward. Now this is made out of PVC and it's a little bit thick, but they designed it so it's looping out a little, so you are allowed to give them a much wider stance. Something I actually wish earlier Darth Vader figures had done when they used PVC. Because otherwise it makes them stick their legs together. He has his sword, the hilt, really well done, of course. And then there's the hilt. Let's get a little focus on that. There we go. And this, of course, is the armor he wore. Both when mainly when he took on Osgiliath in the movie at the end. This was based off of. But he wore his armor many times. He fought, and we're going to get into that with the lore. He comes with his helmet. So, you can stick that on him. Let's get him in focus here. Alright. Are we focused? Sorry about the focus issues. I only have 15% battery. Alright, and then on the back, once again, you have just all these incredible details. And then, like I said, you have a thigh swivel. They're the ones that started that. You have the hip joint, and you have a double jointed knee. And at the feet, you have a rocker and a pivot. So, I mean, everything you could ask. And that's the one that's not considered superposable. So we're going to put him right here. Let's see if he'll just balance out like he was. Let's go ahead and get his sword in, and I'll just show you what he looks like with the sword in. Get in there. Crikey. Hold on. We're getting it. We don't want to break anything because you know how rare these are. If you look at prices for anything ToyBiz related, so you can have it like that, and have it like he's just ready to go. He's ready to go. He's ready to fight. It's one of those ones that just that's what you gotta do. But look at the balance, how easily that ToyBiz is just something that they're just ahead of the game. Now here's Boromir. This is Boromir, armored Boromir. You notice they have basically the same gear. Both captains of the guard. He was captain of the Rangers of the Guard, and he was captain of the whole armies as the first son, um, or first living son. Now, once again, you have the same extensive details, everything as you would expect from ToyBiz. You have this up down pivot. You have it right here at the bottom of the knee, and then so it's a double jointed knee. Same thing, thigh swivel, all that. Same PVC. Um, Same armor down there. One thing that's cool about this one, though, is it does come with this tattered cape. Now, if you watch, this is from the extended scene where they just won the battle for Osgiliath. It's a flashback Faramir has once he finds out he died. But anyway, now one thing I don't like about this figure, the one thing I'll complain about, his sword is really short. And mine's bent. I need to boil it. But so you kind of just want to put it barely in his hand. Barely in his hand. If you can get it into his hand. Okay, maybe we'll go like this. Okay, there we go. This would be one of the few times that might be a little bit critical. But the idea is, and you'll see in the image gallery at the end of the video, it's replicating that scene. Victory. That's all this is. His cloak is tattered for a reason. It came that way. Because he just got done fighting a battle, and unlike in most things, cloaks get torn up when you're getting sliced at by orcs and whatnot. So, you have the same 360. Oh, let me show you the motion. His is up and down. You know, so there you go. They did a really good job getting Sean Bean's look at the time. Poor Sean Bean dies in every movies, um, and then you have the nice cloak. Sorry, it's got a little bit of dog fur on it. I don't like that at all. I'll have to get the tweezers and carefully brush it out. But as you can see, it just carries through the armor. So that's really cool having them side by side because it shows the brothers, and they had a lot of camaraderie. If you haven't seen the extended editions, as far as the head goes, he has the same range. Actually, he has a little bit more range. He has a full 360, and he goes up about 20 degrees, 25 degrees, 30 degrees, and down about 10 degrees. So there you go. And once again, they're both so easy to stand. Most of these are. That's what makes these so incredible, is the balance. And if you look at them from here, they do really look like the actors. Now let's quickly get into the lore. I don't want my phone to die. I'm literally doing this. It's at 15%. So let's get into it. I wrote out the script of lore, and I just wanted to get into it with you. Now this is a combination of the books and a combination of the movies, okay? The extended edition versions of the movies, okay? Now first we're going to start with Faramir. Now, Peregrine Took's first impressions of Faramir in the book, and these are his words, his thoughts, Peregrine's words, or thoughts. Here was one with an air of high nobility, such as Aragorn at times revealed. Less high, perhaps, yet also less incalculable and remote. One of the kings of men born into a later time, but touched with the wisdom and sadness of the Eldar. He knew now why Baragon spoke his name with love. He was a captain that men would follow, that he would follow, even under the shadow of the Black Wings. Um, Faramir was the second son of Denethor, we all love that guy, right? And the younger brother of Boromir. He was the captain of the Rangers of Ithilien and captain of the White Tower upon his brother's death. So that was the other title his brother had too. After the War of the Ring, Faramir became the first prince of Ithilien. We'll remember that for later, okay? And married Eowyn of Rohan, but we'll also detail that. Faramir was, let's skip that. We don't even know when he was born. When Faramir was 5 years old, his brother died. Her older sister died. Her death caused Denethor to become detached from his family. It's what started him down his road that led to the Palantir, that led to his mental self-destruction. Um, Boromir was 5 years older than his brother, and he was known as being just one of the biggest, baddest, toughest dudes of his time. Um, Let me move this up here. There we go. All right. And but over time they grew closer and greater in love with as brothers, really bonded. Despite the obvious way that Denethor favored Boromir over Faramir, there was no jealousy or rivalry between them. Boromir protected and helped him, and Faramir looked up to his older brother. Although the siblings were very similar in appearance with their dark hair and gray eyes, it was not so in personality. Boromir was defined to be the more daring one, as well as more fearless and strong warrior. The more fearless and strong warrior. Faramir's boldness was incorrectly judged, less due to his gentle nature and love of lore and music. In other words, he was just as tough, but he also liked reading and doing things like that to people. It was with this interest that formed a friendship between Faramir and Gandalf. I don't know if you knew about that. The youngest son of Denethor learned of what he could from Gandalf's wisdom and mentoring. Denethor did not approve of Faramir as the wizard's pupil, as he sarcastically called him, for he neither trusted nor liked the Istar, the wizards. Faramir's leadership, skill in arms, and swift but hardy judgment proved to be handy on the battlefield. During the War of the Ring, he was the captain of the Rangers of Ithilien, who often skirmished with the allies of Sauron in that province. Faramir valiantly defended Gondor from the enemy, but did not enjoy fighting for fighting's sake. Faramir, who was on guard duty in the western shore of Osgiliath. Wait a minute. Something happened here to my notes. Okay. Yeah, he was on guard duty on the western shore of Osgiliath. He waded down to a boat floating down by the Anduin River. To his grief, it contained the dead body of his brother, which was pierced with many great wounds. In it lay his sword, broken, but there was no sign of the great horn, which he and his father had heard being blown far across the distance in the north 3 days prior. Through intelligent questioning and intuition, Faramir determined that Frodo, when he ran into him, was carrying some great evil weapon of the Dark Lord of the enemy. At this point, he showed the crucial difference between him and his proud brother. This is from the book. But fear no more. I would not take this thing if it lay by the highway, not where Minas Tirith falling in ruin, and I alone could save her, so using the weapon of the Dark Lord for her good and my glory. No, I do not wish for such triumphs, Frodo, son of Drogo. Then Faramir... Let's see. We done lost track. He went out and he was... Actually, it's just... my printer decided to be a jerk. Okay, so we'll just go by what I know, since I already do know it. Thankfully. So at this point, Faramir, as we know, was forced to charge after losing Osgiliath in the major war to come, when they were just vastly outnumbered, and they fought hard. Denethor sent him back out there cruelly, coldly. He didn't care. He sent him back out there, and after everything was, he was injured. He was hit with poison arrows. Denethor thought his line had ended and he was gonna die. He set a pyre up to burn both of them. And of course, thankfully, Gandalf took care of that problem, and Faramir lived, and the way he lived was after the war, after the fighting. Faramir was laid in the houses of healing until Aragorn came and revived Faramir with Athlia. I always say this wrong. Athelis, King's foil, King's. I think that's what it was. Somebody can correct me on that. But that was the special ability he had of healing the king's power. It was not a poisoned dart of the Witch King that wounded him in a state near death as it was with Snowmane, but the arrow of a Haradim, along with Faramir's weariness and grief concerning his constantly strained relationship with his father and the black breath of the Nazgul who, under Sauron's orders, hunted Faramir ever since he had left Ithilien. When he awoke, Faramir immediately recognized Aragorn as his rightful king, therefore realizing that no proof was needed after all. Before Aragorn left to lead the soldiers to the Black Gate, he commanded the Warden of the Houses of Healing to have Faramir and Eowyn to remain resting for at least 10 days. After Eowyn demanded that the Warden take her to the steward of the city to have her released so she could ride out in battle, Faramir, whose heart was moved with pity and pierced by her beauty, told Eowyn that he too had to heed the advice of the Warden. He fulfilled her request to have her room look east to Mordor and asked her to talk with him at times. Faramir and Eowyn walked together in the gardens nearly every day, and he learned from the Merry Brandy book of Eowyn's despair of feeling trapped, waiting on the waning of Theoden, and of Aragorn's rejection of her love. He told her that though he had first pitied her, he now loved her. There, finally, Eowyn's grief was fully healed, and no longer did she desire glory or greatness, and realized that she had come to love Faramir in return. Faramir briefly served as the ruling steward of Gondor, and began preparing the city for the king's arrival. On the day of the king's official coronation, Faramir surrendered his office, which was represented by the white rod of the steward, kneeling as he did so. Aragorn, however, gave the rod back, announcing that as long as his line would last, Faramir and his descendants would be stewards of Gondor. After Faramir had asked the people of Gondor if they accepted Aragorn as their king, which of course they did, Faramir took the crown out and Aragorn was crowned King Elessar. King Elessar appointed Faramir as Prince of Ithilien and Baragond to be the captains of his guard. As one of the highest ranking nobles, he became one of Aragorn's or King Elessar's, depending on how you want to call him, chief commanders and Prince of Ithilien, March Warden, and helped clear out the rest of the evil. Obviously, we saw thousands, tens of thousands of evil creatures running into the woods, running everywhere. There was a lot of cleanup duty to be done, and Faramir, as it turns out, at the beginning of the Fourth Age, was one of the ones who was doing that. Let's get real quickly. Boromir, captain of the guard. That's what he is in this. Boromir looked after his younger brother, and they became very close. Boromir devoted himself to leading his people and fought in the battle for the eastern part of Osgiliath. He, his brother, and 2 others were the only survivors of the unit that held the bridge until its destruction. Just he and his brother. That's how tough they were. They had to swim the river Anduin to reach safety. Now this figure is based on the appearance in the Two Towers Extended Edition. It appears in Faramir's flashback of the Battle of Osgiliath when they won. And I included those images in the images gallery at the end. And there should be, it'll be at the image gallery at the very end. So you should hopefully it'll work. Boromir and Faramir led a host of Gondorian soldiers in liberating the city, and Boromir gives a patriotic speech. Denethor arrives and instructs Boromir to travel to Rivendell and bring back the One Ring. In this sequence, Boromir is portrayed as trying to balance his love for his younger brother and country with his goal of doing his father's will. He was well loved, well regarded, and considered one of the greatest warriors of his time, as he demonstrated as he slew the Uruk-hai after Uruk-hai after Uruk. Man, he was killing them left and right, while he was protecting Pippin and Merry after having escaped the ring's dark embrace on his mind. He died as he truly lived, a hero and one who loved and recognized his king. Again, extended editions and books were used for all this information. I hope you enjoyed this, and once again, these are ToyBiz. This is ToyBiz Boromir, Captain of the Guard. This is ToyBiz Armored Faramir, and these are both the ones with the action button, but they're still awesome. Just take a look at this, for example, real quickly. The weathering. It's beautiful, but it's also weathered, so it has a real look. They just did an amazing job. I have literally hundreds and hundreds of these, so I will continue doing these videos. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate and value you, all of you. Please leave a comment, drop a like if you can, share, subscribe. Greatly appreciated. Helped me out quite a bit, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, let me know, please. Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night.